Game 2 of the divisional round, Niners, Seahawks. Is it crazy enough to say that San Francisco, to me, actually has a shot to win this football game? Seahawks, they get the bye at Lumen Field. We're breaking down every single divisional round here on the Big Z Breakdown. So welcome, man. We're going to break down basically what does each team need to be able to win this matchup and go to the NFC Championship. Well, you got a lot of problems on both sides. The Niners, it just looks like they are the David versus Goliath story. It feels like the Niners have no business being in this game. George Kittle just tore his Achilles to make everything worse, wearing his jersey, but it has been confirmed that Fred Warner is not playing. If you're looking at the injury report for the Niners, it doesn't look good. Ricky Pearsall, limited participant all week. Trent Williams should play. D. Winters, that would be a huge addition for their linebacker if he could come back. Yetur Gross-Matos. Again, there's a lot of interesting names. But again, no Nick Bosa. That's going to be the big one. So obviously lose him week 1 with a major injury as well. But Seahawks injury report is even more interesting because Sam Darnold was just added there with an oblique injury, limited participant all week. Yes, I'm pretty sure he'll play. But what I want to point out, the biggest thing to me is the fact that this game is the third matchup for these two teams. And when you look back to those two games, one thing stakes out, and it's the fact that the Niners were in every single one of those games. So the fact that it is a 7-point spread, when the Seahawks didn't score more than 13 points, they actually scored 13 exactly in both of the matchups. Week 1, when the Niners were a fully healthy defense, scored 13, lost 17-13 at home. Week 18 for the division, you had Seahawks won 13-3. Niners could not get the ball moving, but I think this actually benefits the Niners. I know they're on the road, they have every disadvantage, but when you're looking at San Francisco, the one thing that I think is going to come into play here is the fact that they just played this team. So they're going to know them better than Seattle knows themselves, and they're also riding in a lot of momentum. I'm not going to say that Sam Darnold isn't a great playoff performer, but we saw last year he definitely collapsed in Minnesota. Got absolutely obliterated by the Rams. I believe it was 27-9. They could not get anything going on offense. But that's where I think Sam Darnold's going to be down in this game. If the Seahawks can't score more than 13 points, they're going to lose this game to the Niners. So a lot of interesting stuff. The Seahawks, 100%, they're the better team on paper. If we're looking to look forward to things that are going to happen, who's going to win the turnover battle? If we look back to that Niners game, week 18, that was a huge game. Not only the fact that it was for the division, but we have to keep in mind, this is a 7-point spread, and the Niners were going down the score, and unfortunate circumstance of Brock Purdy throwing a little out route to Christian McCaffrey. It gets bobbled, tipped in the air, and intercepted. That was Purdy's only interception on the day. And I will say, Brock Purdy did throw 2 interceptions. Could have costed them the game against Philadelphia. But this just feels like a different team in the playoffs. Yes, the Philadelphia game was close. Yes, you're going to have to be able to do a lot more consistent things to beat Seattle. But, the number one thing for the Niners defense, stop the run, right? Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet ran all over that team, and they still had a chance to win. So Sam Darnold's number really does concern me. He has not cracked 200 yards in the 2 games that he's played the Niners, and his line is 236. But in this kind of game, I said the Seahawks could be down. The Niners, you're probably saying, Mike, why would you ever think that the Seahawks are going to be losing this game? Well, think about it. Sam Darnold, he thrives really well when the Seahawks are up in games, leaning on the defense, running the football, little bootlegs. And that was what kept them going. When Sam Darnold doesn't actually have to do anything, it's almost like he just kind of throttles down, listens to Kubiak. And I will have a lot of the success for the Seattle offense has came from Clint Kubiak. It's realistically the defense. Can San Fran get around the Seattle defense? Number 6 total defense. Number 10, passing defense. That's where you can exploit this Seahawks defense in the pass. If you try and run the ball 100 times with Christian McCaffrey, you'd be lucky to get 3.5 yards a carry, because we can go ahead and look at the Niners' offense, and obviously the only offense that they really have is, guess who? Christian McCaffrey. And now with no Kittle, he mainly becomes the number 1 target in that offense. He caught 6 passes in Philadelphia for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns last week. But yeah, you look at the last time he played Seattle, 8 carries, a season low, 18 carries on the season. He's averaging a game. So that's kind of the number. And it's interesting to me that his line for this weekend is 16.5 carries. I can easily see him getting 60 yards on the ground, 60 yards through the air, and getting 120 combined yards. It sounds a little bit crazy, but to me, the Niners are not a number 6 seed that has no chance in this football game. It's realistically looking at two division opponents that know each other really well, and it's what's the better team? Clearly, it's Seattle. They got the better defense, arguably the better, more healthy offense, and one of the best receivers in the league right now in Jackson Smith and Jigba. But if we will forget, JSN was shut down in that last game versus San Francisco. I don't even want to say mostly in the second half because I just realized that was the Rams game. However, still, 6 for 84 in a second game that you play this team. When you have a division opponent that you play week 1 and week 18, the games are so far apart that it's a completely different team by the end of the season. So I don't think the Niners were as prepared as they wanted to be. They were at home. They had every advantage to win the game. They stayed in it the whole time. But I don't know. I feel like the Niners defense is going to get them. This is the thing. The Seahawks have to be able to pass the ball. They can't just, have, outside of JSN, who's going to make plays? Is it Cooper Kupp? Is it Rashid Shaheed? Shaheed was great in the return game, but again, looking at what this team has done, it's the San Fran defense that you would be, you look at their numbers and you're like, there's no way they're going to win this game. I don't disagree, but let's look at it less on paper. What I've come to learn, at least football, doesn't really come down to numbers, doesn't really come down to what's on paper. It comes down, at least for this game, who's the better coach? And Mike McDonald has done a great job this year. But for me, there's some concern off that first round bye with the first round rust. Obviously they could come in at home, destroy the Niners, which is why I understand the 7-point spread. But to me, this is going to be a lower scoring game. If we look at the over-under for the game, it's 45.5. It is not going to be a higher scoring game. The Niners are a different team in the playoffs. They are gonna buckle down on defense, okay? They could have Eric Kendricks, who just signed on the practice squad a few weeks ago. Am I saying it right? Eric Kendricks, right? Yeah, Eric Kendricks, a veteran linebacker, was the leader of the defense. 7 tackles, 3 assisted tackles against the Eagles. Now, granted, the Eagles' offense has never really been anything special all season, and one thing that's really been in common is the San Francisco 49ers can't stop the run. Now, outside of that 29-yard run, the first play of the game, they kind of held Barkley in check, 4.1 yards a carry. Now, granted, Kevin Petula does not do a good job of, his play calls are very predictable. It's a, inside zone up the middle 100 times over. So the Seahawks are definitely going to play cat and mouse with some good play calls from Clint Kubiak, but this is going to be a one-score game. In my eyes, I know you can have every disadvantage if you're the San Francisco 49ers, but you're going to lean on your playmakers. And the one playmaker you got to highlight from each team is Jackson Smith and Jigba, pretty obvious for the Seahawks, but it can't be anyone else than McCaffrey, considering he caught 2 touchdowns last game and was a huge factor in the receiving game. And I know that the Seahawks are going to know that. And in terms of my props, it's definitely going to be interesting because McCaffrey has not been the best runner. Now, granted, that has been for good matchups. Eagles are a good run defense. Seahawks are one of the better run defenses in the league. So it wouldn't surprise me if McCaffrey was held in check yet again, 48 yards on the ground. But this number, 6 for 66, 2 touchdowns, it reminds me of the week 1 game where he just developed as a slot receiver. But the biggest thing that you're going to realize is if Ricky Pearsall does not play, which he has been kind of injured all season, you kind of have these interesting names to throw the football to. Demarcus Robinson, Jawan Jennings, Jake Tongas, because now Kittle's out for the year. You don't have a lot of crazy names if you're the 49ers. So as for the wide receivers for the Niners, they got crazy inventive last week with Jawan Jennings throwing that touchdown to Christian McCaffrey. Kendrick Bourne did play not a lot of snaps last week, but 37%. Marcus Robinson, Sky Moore was out there a little bit, but honestly, they really kind of just ran with 2-3 wide receivers. It really was a 2 wide receiver set for most of the game. Jennings played most of the game. Robinson was the second wide receiver, and they really didn't have a slot receiver out there. So maybe you might see a lot more heavy sets, a lot more crazy run games. But in order to get to the props, I know I've kind of been yapping for a while, and check out the other video as well in the Bills Broncos game that we've already previewed. But here are the picks for the week. And they're going to be interesting because we've kind of broke down everything so far. But 45.5 points, that's the number next to the props line. And it's like, I don't understand who's going to win this game. But if I'm going to lean for an underdog, the Niners are the biggest point spread of the week, and I have no idea why. Everyone's counting them out. Oh, the Seahawks are going to walk all over them. I wouldn't be surprised if the Seahawks win this game. But what I'm saying is this is going to be close. So I love Niners +7. Money line is +270. It's going to be good odds. I don't even hate Niners first half money line. But again, it's going to be close. It's going to be like a 20-17 game. It's going to be weird. But that's where I don't understand why the Seahawks total points is 26.5. They scored 26 points in 2 games versus this team. And you're telling me they're going to score more than that in the third game this season? So it's really interesting. I know it's a lot of stuff on there. This would probably be the one that I'm the least confident in. Now that I think about it, I probably just X this off of here in terms of the 55 yards for Christian McCaffrey, just because the Seahawks run defense is so good. I contemplated putting a rushing number for Kenneth Walker, for Zach Charbonnet, but I couldn't find it within me, just because I feel like the Niners know what they saw in Week 18. They're going to have to stop the run. And I was thinking about doing a Sam Darnold under 236 passing yards, but when I look at that, Seahawks could be down in this game. They could easily drive down the field. He could easily have 240, 250 when it's all said and done, if the Niners win by a field goal. But this is, I think, the 5 that I'm really confident in. If anyone's going to score a touchdown, it's probably going to be McCaffrey. I wouldn't be surprised if Brock Purdy ran like a little read option on the 5-yard line. We saw a little bit of that action Week 17, I believe, in the Bears game. So yeah, Brock Purdy, I think if in order for the Niners to be in this game, he's got to throw for at least 230. The biggest thing that you can kind of look at for the Seahawks defense is they play a lot of coverage. And that kind of tripped Brock Purdy up. He only threw for 130 yards the last game, but Week 1, he threw for 277. So they're going to try and blitz him. They have Trent Williams. They did not have Trent Williams in that Week 18 game, and that's why I did put McCaffrey rushing yards on there, because Trent Williams is going to be a big factor on offense to why the Niners are going to be in this game. So yeah, everything seems realistic to me. These two pretty self-explanatory. Jason Myers, again, if the Niners are going to play good defense, they haven't all season. You look at the numbers, it's not good. But the playoffs, they could be a different team. If you stop the Seahawks near the red zone multiple times and have Myers kick 2 field goals, I think he should have at least 2, maybe 3. But again, Seahawks are pretty good in the red zone. McCaffrey over 110 rush receiving. I mean, he has to be involved if the Niners want to win this game. He's the only real threat out of the backfield. Kittle is gone. Pearsall might not play again. You have Jennings, Kendrick Bourne, Demarcus Robinson. It's nothing crazy. So McCaffrey has to be a playmaker out of the backfield for the Niners and be a big part of this offense. Like I said, Purdy already. But that is kind of everything that I'm looking at. And we will go through the Texans-Patriots game right after this. So make sure you check out all the other videos. Appreciate everyone watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you think is going to happen in the Seahawks game. A lot of football this weekend. Even though there's only 4 games, there's a lot to break down. So thank you all so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. It's been Mike Zanetti, Big Z Breakdown. We'll see you in the next episode.